This is Tesla on the 5-minute time frame. Here are your price targets for Wednesday. We ended the day at $268.46, up 3.59%. To the north side from where we are takes us to one level of resistance and a potential take profit area at 280.15. Above that, at 3 standard deviations, roughly 289. And should we be so lucky as to get to 4 standard deviations, but don't hold your breath, 299.24. And if we hit this level, you can expect a pullback as people take their profits and run. They will lock in and they will leave. Now, to the south side takes us back to the middle of the trend and the baseline right there. And that is roughly 260.58. Below that takes us to roughly 241.37. That is one level of support, many levels in between. To the south side of that, this would be an area we've been to in the past in 2024. That's where the yellow line is. And below that at -4 standard deviations, which I do not think we will get to on Wednesday. Potentially down the road, sure, but not on Wednesday. And that would take us to roughly 221.92. I'm going to delete this line since it's so close to this previous middle of the trend, which has turned into support. That was 258.45, and I marked that out on, oh my goodness, when did I mark that out? Right here. Back on Monday, September 30th of 2024. So I will delete that. All these gaps closed. And it got wonky because there was a, I don't know what the heck happened. I don't know what happened to TradingView. If there, I know there was a split, but the split was in the 600s. But I don't know. TradingView does get wonky on me. And I've had problems where they've basically ruined all of my charts. And I remember particularly with Palantir, it imploded. I had to start all over again. It was very annoying. All right, looking left, there is a gap fill, and that took us to roughly 263.15. From down here, this line turns into resistance, and we went sideways. This gap also closed out, so no longer in play. That took us to roughly 286.97. All right. And what else can I clean up? All right, it's been a while since I've looked at this. This green gap, let me have to grab it in the right spot, right here. So we touched on Monday the 24th. That opened up on Monday the 10th. Took us up to 261.82. So I will delete that. So that is no longer in play. This gap to the downside took us down to roughly 249.51, closed on March 31. It opened up on the 24th. So that is no longer a threat to our account to the south side. But look, we went from here, we went lower, and then bounced off of this old middle of the trend line. All right, what else? This gap, remember I just extend whenever I see something. That's why it's important to look at it on a daily basis if you are trying to day trade, which is not really my goal. That is not my goal. Okay, and I'm going to delete that. That started at 272. Actually, what was that number? Let me hit Command Z. So that took us to 278.06. Done. Done. And yeah, we tanked and then we went back up again. My sister was very scared for me and thought I should get out of Tesla. And I said, I can't because I bought it so low that I'm waiting for it to go down again so I can buy more. And I think Elon is doing a fabulous job of getting rid of fraud, waste, and abuse. He has found more than, I think, $350 billion of wasted funds. And I'm all about financial responsibility. And I applaud him. Okay, delete 248.95. I don't see anybody else doing that. And they've been in the government forever. This is why we need term limits for the federal government and for the HOA. All right. This gap. What is this? What is this? I'm going to move this for a second. All right, this gap is still in play, so let's extend that, which means this gap is still in play also because, oops, it has not touched. All right, still a threat to our account to the south side. Obviously, I don't want Tesla to go down. I want it to continue to rip. But that's not happening because too many people are upset that Elon has found fraud and waste. Apparently, they'd rather see the waste and not give him any credit. All right. And I don't care about politics. It's what are you doing for the people? Here, I'm going to fix that right about there. Let's just move it over here. Make that a little more precise. Okay, so that's it. Let me just look at this. Oops, I meant to do this. Look at how many times I've tracked the sticker. Oh boy, I hate to even show it to you, but it all makes sense to me. Okay. So we are at 268.46 right here. Making our way up. So that's 2 standard deviations, -2, excuse me. And then the middle of the trend could take us to 358.55, but you know there's going to be a battle. It's not going to be easy, and that's a big picture, long term. And then I'm not even going to, okay. I don't even want to say this, but 197.10 to the south side, and that would close these gaps, which is what we really need to do anyway. But Tesla will whip you around. Okay, one more ticker I'm going to go over will be Johnson & Johnson. It's been a while since I've done this one. We ended the day at 153.25. It says the company hit a low of 156.80 in intraday trading, a 5.49% drop, the steepest since March 2020. Why? What is happening? I don't know. I haven't read it. Expects its pending acquisition of intracellular therapies to dilute adjusted earnings per share by about 25 cents in full year 2025, an improvement from the 30 cents to 35 cents previously projected. The company expects the deal to contribute $700 million in incremental sales. Yeah, this is probably just a buying opportunity. It depends on how you like to think about this, but when I see things bleed out, that's a strong company. In general, that's just a great opportunity to buy in. Buy when there is fear and blood in the water. That is, what's his name's philosophy. The Oracle of Omaha. Okay, so the low is 140.68. The high, 169.99. The 1 year price target is what? 169.61. And it pays a dividend of, what did I see? 2.99%. All right, here we go. We're near support. One level of resistance above that, 158.43. This is 2 standard deviations, 164.9. Oh my gosh, 164.39. 167.40, and don't hold your breath, 170.25. This gap closes to the upside at 165.52. Yeah, when they buy companies, it costs some money, so of course they're going to bleed out. But again, that could be an opportunity. Could it go lower? Absolutely, before it rebounds. 152.48, 149.44, and a better buy-in would be 146.53, but who knows if we'll get that low. And if we do, I anticipate a buy-in. All right, when I looked at this gap for myself, but did not do a video, let me make this a little bit bigger, easier to grab. That ended on today, the 1st, and started on the 26th of March, taking us down to 161.97. This gap filled to the upside at 165.65 and then started going sideways. And then what about this gap that I marked out? That took us to roughly 156.10, and then down here was a level I anticipated, taking us down to 147.21. And when did that? I have to move this over to the 15 because it's getting wonky here. So that is still in play, taking us down to, again, roughly 147.05. Let me change the color. Let's see, 146.14. Did that really touch right there? I don't know. Yeah, it touched, but did it really close? Yeah, I'll just give it as a win to the upside. All right, from down here up there, that definitely is resistance, and that took us to 147.91. And then this gap closed out. This is the, oh yeah, sorry. I switched over to the 15. Now let's give you the daily. Apparently I tracked this one, it was 142.27, so congrats if you bought in down there and, made your way up, and now we're giving it back, but all right. So to the south side, one level takes us to 142.85, back to kind of this area. And then the middle of the trend on the daily is 156.32. And looking left, right here, this is support, a bounce, another level of support, resistance, resistance, definitely resistance, and then anticipating a pullback, and it did. This is support on the way down, bounced up to resistance, back down to support, resistance, didn't make it all the way down here. Sometimes it doesn't, starts to turn around, support down here, resistance, and now we're here. What does the RSI say? Oh, so the RSI is turning down, so more bleeding to do. And what does this one say? Going down and going down. All three time frames tell us there's more bleeding to occur. We got a bleeder here, people. And I think this might play out. It'll take a little while, but that could touch, if we continue to go south, by the end of the week. All right? Okay, that does it for me. That is a look at Tesla and Johnson & Johnson. Have a great trading day.